think it's about time that I make another serious video, you know. This one is about the serious conversation that I was having in the notice 1 and notice 2 for today, day 105. And I was saying in this day that I had a 4-hour conversation with one of my sisters. And I'm using this video to talk about that. This recording is happening maybe less than 20 minutes after that, after the phone call ended. This phone call happened from about 12:50 to 4:50, and we were just talking for 4 hours straight. So what was going on was, I was hearing the reason why this call happened in the first place was because I heard my dad and my mum, less than my dad, but I heard my dad predominantly shouting at my sister about marriage stuff, and I went over there. I went downstairs as I was I think after recording this video, after recording the log, to go and tell him. But then I just didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear the shouting, and I wanted to at least go and say something about it. And yeah, I told him that I thought the way how he was speaking to one of my sisters was unacceptable. And I did use that word. And then after that, we had a conversation about it. I just wanted to, he kept on saying I was trying to tell her what's right. It was something along those lines. That's what he was trying to say, but it didn't seem like he really took my point into consideration. I kept on emphasizing to him over and over again, it wasn't what he was talking about that I had an issue with, but it was the fact that I could hear shouting about it. And after the conversation that I've had with one of my sisters, that happened because I wanted to let her know that I wouldn't accept that sort of shouting, that I would have ended the call if my mum and dad were to raise their voice / shout at me over the phone. I told her that I told her that, now even before that, I told my dad that that's what I'd go and say to her, and I did. And then that led on to us having a conversation about me and and why I acted the way I did during my teenage years, maybe even all the way up to now. As a teen, I acted rather dismissively towards everyone in my family, really, particularly towards my parents. And I even sometimes do this now, but less intensely than I once did. Excluding during the serious conversation that I was having with mum and dad, I just did that directly to my mum. I was just dismissing her very directly, because I was, as far as I was concerned, I was focused on listening to what dad was having to say, and she was just speaking over him. In the past, when it's come to serious conversations, I've always just thought of that as being like a parrot, just repeating what your owner's saying. When I say that though, I'm not trying to imply that my dad owns my mum or anything like that, no, but just copying what he has to say. And that's what I mean in the sense of I thought during my teenage years that when she would do these things, I thought it was like she was being like a parrot. For all these years, I thought this way, in a similar way, towards my dad. Not in the sense that he was being a parrot, just dismissive. Honestly, the reason why I just cut to here, where I'm at now, is because I thought I could hear my dad praying. Well, I thought I could hear my dad praying anyway. And when I was talking about this, the topic of this video, as this was happening, I thought he was praying, and I thought he was doing that to be able to listen in, as if he had ulterior motives. One thing about there are two main things that I've taken from this conversation that I had with my sister. And one of the main things, the first thing I'd say was the fact that I've never put it into these exact words, but I believe that in fact, without even realizing it, I've always been on defense, regardless of what my parents are speaking to me about. It doesn't matter what, but I think I've always been on defense as to I think I've always been on defense whenever they'd speak to me. It doesn't matter what, even if they say hi, how are you, it's like I'm on defensive mode. For example, with the serious conversation that I had with my mum and dad, after hearing my dad shout more to my sister than my mum, it was like I was just there to tell them, not them, dad predominantly, because I heard him shout often that his behaviour was unacceptable in my opinion, and his motives were to just tell me to go away. I really believe that my dad lacks emotional self-control, especially for a man. He can get in his feelings, but I must understand that if I allow myself to, and I don't carry on improving the way I am, I'm just going to end up the same damn way and treat my kids, if I have any, that same damn way. And I've been telling myself for I don't know how long now, but for a while now, that I don't want to be anything like him. That was the way how I think in the past, but that's now changed to I don't want to be like him much. If I were to have children, I'd obviously want to be like him in some senses. He let us go to school, he and mum gave us shelter. School, shelter, clothes, food, even though it wasn't healthy. And speaking about the food thing, that's one of the main things I think about when it comes to ways my parents have failed, not only us children, but also themselves. But again, my sister, she told me in the era that they were born, they may not have had access to the sorts of information that we now have. Not only that, but she was saying that because of X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, serious things going on, teaching their children how to eat healthily and do other constructive habits like going to the gym and training was the last thing on their list. But now that I've just said that, I've just impulsively thought, if that were the case, then why did you put yourself in a position where you're raising kids anyway? If that were the case and you were going through things, why was it that you made the decision to do that? You can only, to counter what I'm saying, to play devil's advocate, you can only be fertile for so long. Especially in their generation, they would want to leave a legacy. And I remember my mum saying that she's had children to do that. Does she have a legacy? If we're classing her having a legacy through us existing, then yeah. One major thing that I've thought for a while now is that once I move, I don't want to speak to any of my family members at all, or at least not much, because I'd much rather just enjoy the peace of just enjoy the silence and the peace that I'd experience of being able to, if I want noise, then I can put on something, I can hear myself speak, I can just do that. I don't have to hear the news, the fear mongering, I don't have to hear my parents complaining, I don't have to hear those things, their screens, I don't have to hear them talk about things I have no interest in. And this leads me on to, I think, the second thing that I wanted to speak about that I'd learned from the different mindset that I gained from speaking to my sister, and that is is that I think the reason why I don't really want to speak to them much is because I just much rather I'd much rather, at least in my head, believe that the relationship that I have with all of my family members is voluntary instead of compulsory. And I've never understood that until having this conversation with my sister. I've never understood it in that way. I've never put it into those words. But I think I couldn't have explained it any better than I just have now. I want to believe that that the conversations that I'm having with my family, they're voluntary and not something that I have to do that I don't like a chore, or like homework that I couldn't be bothered to work through. And I think that's a part of why I genuinely could be on the defense as soon as I hear my parents speak, seeing as I live with them. As soon as I hear my parents speak to me, as soon as as soon as I noticed, after this conversation, I noticed, for example, my dad talking to me, asking how my sister was, I immediately sensed that I was on the defensive. And when I said that I could feel on the offensive 20 every single time they speak to me, I'm being dead serious. How are you? Fine. I just say fine. But very recently I've been starting to say fine. How are you? And appreciate just the fact that I'm actually saying that, not to them, but the fact that the fact that I am saying it to them, in the sense that I'm actually changing how I speak to them. But I think I can understand why I don't ever really want to speak to my parents often, and that's because in my head I believe it's like the conversations that we do have are involuntary. Not involuntary, sorry, compulsory from my end. My parents just actually wanted to have a conversation with their son that it's just something that I don't really want to do ever, really. I'd much rather just do my own thing and be in my own space. Be in my own space, not have to hear anyone if I don't want to. But I have done this to myself. I've put myself in a position where I've come from uni. I've come from uni. I've come from uni. My parents picked me up. I put my stuff from the accommodation into the van. Otherwise, there was no other way I would have been able to move out. I would have had to just carry on living there, and then grow from there. But and if I were to do that, then things may have ended up long term, much more negatively than they could have done. No, than they are going to, because of me making this decision, and them therefore actually making the decision to actually say, okay, you know what, let's see how this goes, and by you not going to uni, you can we'll allow you to go through this way. They also made the decision of my decision to not want to be at uni anymore, because I didn't find that it was serving me in the way I wanted it to. I just didn't like it, and I didn't like the fact that I could be underemployed for all of the 4 years worth of efforts that I'd have to put in, and all of the debt that I'd incur for it, over something that could have only at a maximum be making me through 50 grand a year, when I could not need any qualifications at all and make billions. Anything's possible. But I just knew that I didn't want to go through that pathway. But I didn't actually think of it until I've just spoken about it now. Things really change. The way how you think is different when you actually hear yourself speak. Not in your mind sub-vocally, but I mean when you actually very literally talk things out. And I just think, you know, like, I wouldn't actually want to speak to any of my family members at all. My reasoning for this would be because I'd much rather my conversations be voluntary rather than compulsory, like how I'd believe them to be now. Only with my parents, though. I'd much rather, just like how I would with my sisters now that they moved out, whenever I feel ready to have a conversation with them, then I'd go and speak to them, because it's voluntary, it's wanted. I'd want to have a conversation with them. Whereas with my parents, no, I don't feel that way ever, really. Never. I don't. Not recently. I've never felt the need to want to have a conversation with them from a place where I'd like to know, for example, what's going on with them, or for example, what my mum's cooking. I remember doing this actually. I've just contradicted myself though. I do remember doing this, but this would be extremely rare. I'd much rather just cook my own food. Yeah, I can now understand with the conversation that I've had with my sister and now talking it through, I can understand why I believe myself to be I believe that it's like I'm on the defensive every single time that my parents speak to me, and that's because, first of all, in my head, I'm making it seem like the conversations that my parents have with me are compulsory rather than me wanting them, because I haven't gone out my way for them to. I haven't gone out my way to go and speak to my parents. They ask me how I am. For example, after coming home from a walk or from the gym, I'd they would ask me how I am, never the other way around. Never the other way around first. Never. The most I'd go and do is the most I'd go and voluntarily do is let them know that I'm safe and that I'm back home, which is a start. But I wouldn't go out of my way to go and have a want to speak to them. I wouldn't go out of my way to do that, because it's in my head. I've been thinking this entire time without even realizing it, that it's like the conversations that I'm having with my parents, or the conversations that my parents are having with me rather, are compulsory, not wanted. There's something. There's just a part of life that I have to accept and perform, even regardless of whether I want to do it. Okay, so I feel a release from my sternum. It's like I'm starting to feel more comfortable now. I feel a slight physical feeling of like that sort of flight, fight, freeze response that I get from a while back, when I hadn't completely worked through the Joseph situation, and unironically thinking that I could potentially die whenever I'd see a group of teenagers or someone related to the skate park. I'd also feel that same feeling whenever any family member would come into the kitchen. I'd feel this same feeling. Oh, I had it in my head. Oh no, I don't remember. The reason why I believe I'd feel the same feeling, that same feeling of in my sternum, but not as intensely, is because I know that my mum in particular has told me that she doesn't want me to use certain seasonings, and it's like in my head subconsciously I've learned that it's like I could potentially get checked every single time that I'm cooking, that they could go and try and go and check the sort of things that I'm cooking, and therefore think they have the right to tell me what I can and can't make, what seasoning combinations I can and can't use, which my mum has justifiably said, justifiably explained that she doesn't want me to do. She did that once with one sort of thing. I said, okay, I won't use a certain seasoning anymore. It was mixed spice. Not that it matters, but it would just add further to my truth, my perception of reality, which is biased, but yeah. And then I also remember my mum doing this again, even though it was something different. And I thought, oh, no, I'm not being told I can't do this and I can't do that, because deep down I knew that that's been happening for all the way down to if I were asking my parents to get a job, to have if I could have a job with school time. And the reason why I wanted to do this, even though my grades, they said no because my grades were slipping, and I wanted to do this even though my grades were slipping, because I thought, okay, if the less time I have to be able to do this work, to do this schoolwork, I therefore actually value my time more and use it more wisely. And I think the reason why I actually held resentment for so long about that one thing so strongly is because I held resentment against the fact that they didn't even give me a chance. They just kept on saying no and not trying something different. It's just at least give me a chance to see how it go. I think without even realizing it, that was one of the real reasons as to why I held so much resentment towards my parents. But I'd say the real one of the main reasons as to why I held resentment towards myself in this case was because I wasn't. Not only was I being told no, I was listening to being told no, you can't do this. And yeah, I was all, my sister again was speaking to me about this, and I had to further. I was in a position where she challenged my ideas, and therefore had to further develop my way of thinking, which I wouldn't. I didn't actually do in this very specific sense that I'm going to talk about now, and that is, if I actually did want a job back then, it would have been a dead end job. But back then during the school times, more specifically GCSE to A levels, I didn't think of that back then. I didn't know what jobs were like. It was just that I held resentment towards them because I would have at least wanted them to give me a chance, even though my grades were slipping, because I had the mindset of oh, if I have less time to be able to do this, then I value the time that I do have to actually learn school things more. And I actually saw this work because there was one girl in particular, the girl that I've spoken about, Lazy. She had work. She was still doing school at the same time, and her grades were stellar, from what I heard anyway. And her speaking about her previous grades that she's gone and got, and how she's doing in class at the time, I think. But certainly about the grades that she got in the past, like with additional maths, I think she got an A star or something, potentially even 1 year early. So I was thinking that could have, even without realizing, that could have been made me think all the more that as having setting less time aside to do the schoolwork actually worked, due to valuing the time that I did have, that I did set aside for schoolwork more valuably, and actually therefore use it more efficiently. I got this sort of way of thinking from Nathaniel Messiah, from one of his videos, or from a few of his videos. He absolutely not in any way is to blame for how I thought, and he absolutely is not to blame for any family problems I've been going through, not at all. And I'm not saying that, but I think the main place that came from was digesting something that he said, interpreting it in my own way, and then taking it on board as if it's my own idea that I came up with, when in reality it wasn't. But I wasn't really forming my own opinions. I wasn't forming my own opinions back then. I didn't have that mental capacity. But now I'd say I do, certainly a lot more than ever. Yo, just having a walk, and I thought I should share some thoughts. This, for context, is after I've gone and had a conversation with mum and dad. So so in the previous clips, that was the first time, and now this, from here onwards, in this clip, is now the second time. I've gone and done something that I've never done before, or at least in an extremely long while. I voluntarily wanted to give my dad a hug, and I gave him a hug. I extended my arms, and we hugged each other. This is just something I've never done before. I wouldn't say never, sorry. Never done before recently. I've never done this before recently. I don't know. I think it was because in that conversation I allowed myself to release about the things that I had on my mind. A lot of them. I had a lot of things. Imagine I just saw one of the boss men from the chip shop hold his delivery bag. That's not going to be me, and I can feel happy saying that. I actually have a smile on my face saying that. Yeah, I think from now on, the relationship that I have with my parents after having the conversation with my sister, is now going to carry on improving further from this point. This genuinely could have been a turning point in our relationship, because I let them know how I've been feeling deep down, in a way that I truthfully felt for so many years. I've been able to finally articulate it in a way I 100% truthfully mean. After years, I've now been able to do it, and I think after that, that's what's allowed me to want to come out of my shell, you could say, out of that old shell of mine, and instead of leaving conversations just so that one can say their piece and then the other can say theirs and then strut off, I voluntarily wanted to give my dad a hug, and I did. But when it I'm not sure if I said earlier on in the video, but I know for sure, even recently, like a couple of months or so ago, he's threatened that he will put his hands on me, and later on he said that he'd never do that. And I had to keep on asking him, if that's the case and you don't mean what you say, why is it that you've gone and said that? And he said, to scare me. His wording, to scare me, to tell me to fuck off. That was his wording. He's gone and done that in the past for that reason, to scare me and tell me to fuck off, basically, because he'd had enough. Again, his wording. But I at least let him know in a way that was truthfully 100% came from within, that I never wanted him to say that again. I think that's why I kept on using that in that conversation. I kept on saying it over and over again. I could have said it maybe at least like 10 times, anywhere from 5 to 10 times at least. I came on this walk because I just wanted to get out of the house, because I heard my mum and dad talk about the first conversation we had. They talk about me in a way that would, in fact, without there being both sides, would unfairly damage my reputation, because they've gone and spoken about me behind my back, which would mean I can't defend myself. I didn't even think of it like that back then when this happened, even recently, but now I understand. I understand why I felt such a way about it. Thank fuck. I think I'll let them know. That genuinely is the reason why I went and responded in that way without me even knowing it. The way how talking through things could help you. Jeez. If there's anything I'd tell myself though, I'd say, from the odd time to time, please go out of your way to talk to someone about things. I know I'd absolutely prefer to go and work through them myself and myself only, because then that would mean my thoughts or the reasons why I'd want to work through something would come from within. But even if you do go out of your way to speak to someone, that's still coming from within. It's just that you're getting perspectives from another person. Oh mate, you've got a hedge here and there's so many small leaves. Makes me feel in touch with nature, and it's like it just does something to my brain. Makes me feel more like a human being and natural. I'm not sure I could be able to quite put it into words in a way I'd 100% think of it. But yeah, I can understand why I felt the way I did when I went downstairs to speak to her about that. I forgot what I said, but I know I went downstairs. I just wasn't having it. I just wasn't going to let them speak about me behind my back when I can hear them do it upstairs when they're downstairs, and them laughing at me over something that I said that they believe is outrageous. I'll explain. Let me just cross. Hold on a sec. Even though if I were to do this, that someone could see me as a quote-unquote bad person or something, but let me explain where this came from, and therefore where the having the conversation for the second time today came from. So I was speaking to Dad about the marriage stuff that's going on, and obviously Mum didn't like how I was speaking, so she felt the need to call me a joker. I wasn't having that, so as she was walking out of the front room, I went and said, come back here, Mum, I'm not finished with you yet. I did. Was it unprovoked? No. But is that what now, upon reflection, something that I should have said? Yes, but in a different way. Instead of saying it that way, word it in a way that wasn't so aggressive, like they're getting told off by a teacher or something like that. My mum told me to fuck off. When I told her that, she told me fuck off immediately. Again, it was just, as far as I'm concerned, it's like an eye for an eye thing. And if I were to self-reflect, I have apologized for saying that, by the way. Although it was provoked, it's up to me to practice emotional self-control as a man. Something which I'd say my father doesn't do most of the time. But then I'd go and I'd do that same thing sometimes. If I want to have kids in the future, I don't want my family to shed that sort of their way of thinking onto my children. The amount of fear that my parents live with from time to time about the news and how they complain and all of that just makes me think that I wouldn't, along with my sisters as well. I just don't really, the reason why I wouldn't want my sisters to see my children at this point in time, if anything, would be because I think this could be because I just don't really see anything I have in common with them. Honestly, that's the truth, and I wouldn't want them to shed their extremely negative traits onto my children. Not only that, because I've got to listen to Hamza say something similar and then digest it and take it as if I came up with that sort of thought pattern. But I'd honestly rather not. Has that come completely from within? No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. But I'll tell you what, after the second time we've had after our second conversation, our second serious conversation, I think that I've been able to let go of much more resentment that I was holding that I once had. And one thing that I could work on for sure, just like how my dad said, would be, and actually I said while speaking to my sister, would be to work on at least showing some more sympathy. It doesn't even have to be empathy, but showing some more sympathy. And in my dad's words, try and see situations from his shoes. Yeah, he may have had a stressful time raising us for X, Y, and Z reasons, granted. And my first point of call automatically, but whilst he said that, would be to be, he went and did that to himself because he had the kids. Is that going to change as I change as a person? Yeah. Well, I really do think so. My perspective on things will change. I don't want to have the exact same perspectives on life and family anyway. I don't want that, because that would mean that I haven't grown as a person. And that would mean that because I haven't grown, the likelihood of our relationship staying the same is almost certain. Very recently, to a very basic conversation standard, I've been more civil, at least. For example, instead of just answering with fine when they ask how I am, I say fine, or how are you? Even though it's extremely basic, I wouldn't go and say that. I didn't care enough to want to find out. Do I care enough now? No, not really, but I appreciate the fact that I'm actually changing how I speak. That's how I speak to them, at least. There's a start. I'm not going to just change immediately. I don't think they're going to understand that. Their way of going about things as parents has also just been not necessarily wrong, but not helpful. I'm going to tell them over and over again. When it comes to unsolicited advice, I don't like that, because I want to come from a place where I'm actually asking for help, and them try to tell me I need to stop doing this, I need to stop doing that. That's also not going to work. But again, I don't think they understand that either, because as far as they're concerned, when I said that, it's to do with me. They say no, because I could, if that weren't the case, if I did stop saying you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing that, if you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing that, then that could mean that I don't say anything when I really believe you're in danger. But what I meant was talking about advice. God. My head feels a bit overstimulated at this point. A little bit. But yeah, this is the clip that I've just made as I've been walking, and I think it was absolutely worth making. I really believe that, I even told him, I really believe that when my dad threatened me, I'm remembering one time in particular which he's threatened me, that if the conversation escalated any further, he genuinely could put his hands on me. Oh no, I don't remember what I was going to say, hold on. Yeah, okay. I think about going on with that is just that those sorts of things I really did not like at all, and I know from a physical standpoint that he could absolutely do a lot of harm. And again, he talks about having a dark side. So I told him I'll do what I have to do. Now he thought that could mean anything, such as me wanting to kill him. I absolutely don't, not at all. And I clarified that when I said that, I'm not going to do anything I'm not going to do anything like put my hands on him or want to hurt him at all. I did clarify that. But I said that, and I didn't go any further. Why didn't I? Maybe I didn't see the need to. I just knew. But I'll do what I have to do. And I actually explain what I mean here. Fight clubs. Go and learn how to protect myself. If I don't carry on like hitting the punching bags and all that, and actually going to boxing classes, then I'm in a position where I genuinely may not be able to protect myself. I don't take those sorts of threats lightly. If anyone was talking about wanting to put hands on me, I don't take that lightly. It doesn't matter to me who it is. I do not take that lightly. And I'm going to go and really work up to fighting clubs, because I want to know for sure that if it comes to a fight where I could be jumped, like a 4-on-1, like with the Joseph situation. Speaking of, I was in this spot just now, and from this clip to the last, in between that, there was someone that actually once came to the skate park, and I didn't feel any fear at all. No physical fear, no fight freeze response. When he was walking past me, he didn't bat an eye to be honest, and I don't mind. This person, I didn't actually have any problems with him at all. I didn't have any issues with him. But even still, with people that I did have issues with, like, I forgot what I called him. But one time when I was in town and I saw him with the girl, that situation where I spoke about that guy, I did feel a slight bit of that fight freeze response. But this time, in between this clip and the last, none of that at all. I felt completely comfortable. But I know for sure that although my want to protect myself may have come from an unhealthy place, it's going to help me become a healthier person. Thinking that my dad could potentially put his hands on me if he ever wanted to. Even though when he says, well, when he said that in the past, he didn't mean it, and that he would use it to scare me or just to get me to go away. Or in his words, fuck off. Because in his words again, he'd had enough. All these wordings that I just gave came from the second serious conversation that we had today. I think if they did go and speak about me behind my back, that would have never happened. And we wouldn't be in a situation where it looks like my relationship with my parents is going to further improve, but I think it's going to even more drastically improve once I move out, I don't live with them ever again. Yeah. There was a group of teenagers as well. One of those within the group I thought was could have been Kira by what she looked like at the back of her, seeing the back of her body. I was seeing her from behind and all of the other people from behind. I, in the past, would have felt fear. I did. I would have felt that physical fight, freeze response. But this time, no. I did look their way a couple of times to see if they're going to do anything. Maybe just be aware of my surroundings, that's all. And this was the sort of be aware of my surroundings, just on the lookout if they do try do anything to me. But that came from, but even though I say that, it seems like it's come from a place of fear, but for me, I don't think so. For me, it's more like a thing is like, just in case. I feel very grateful that I've come out and had to think about things, or otherwise I won't be where I'll be at in the future. I'd just be stunting my growth. So I feel very grateful that I've come and allowed myself to process any sort of thoughts that I had towards it. I feel very comfortable. I think this is it. Very basically, I've allowed myself, during that second serious conversation, I allowed myself to say what was on my mind this entire time again for years on end, especially towards my dad. I didn't have much to say towards my mum. But why? Oh man, I think if I were to stay here, I'd probably just be here thinking about all these sorts of things. I want to give myself some more time to be able to completely process things. Will I end the video now though? I'm not sure. I'm just going to let it carry on playing and see where this goes. Why would I have less to say to mum than my dad? I think it was because it could have been because I had all of that year's worth of resentment that I've now only been releasing recently, and because I released it in the Day 82 video, I released a lot of it in the Day 82 video. I've now, and especially along with having that conversation with my sister, I've put myself in a place where I've been able to articulate myself better than I've ever been able to on that sort of situation, and why I've held resentment towards them and myself for the past however many years, potentially 5. They said as a kid, and I even remember I have brief visualizations of me feeling very happy with my helicopter and my video games, but there was only for so long that I would have been able to use that to fulfill me. I knew I had to change, and I think that genuinely could have been a reason why I didn't have that same feeling of happiness that I once did as a kid compared to when I was a teenager. I knew I had to change shit about myself. But I let myself release about them talking behind my back with family, friends. That was for mum. I spoke about that for quite a while. There's no way I'm just going to take that and not defend my corner, regardless of if they want to speak behind my back and I'm there. I will defend my corner. But that's where things are, that's where I must understand it. That's where that mindset, that's why things go to where they go, instead of actually having I'm now having to question myself and my way of thinking, because I'd be there on the defensive, feeling as if I have to be on the defensive, having conversations with them, having conversations I may consider compulsory, but I have to answer how I am and all that. The main point that I'm trying to make here is that even though I'd on impulse want to defend my corner, as I've just said, that mindset is what means I put myself in a position where it escalates 2 points. It escalates in the first place. So instead, from now on, when it comes to having serious conversations, it's up to me to speak to them like how I spoke to my sister, and feel very comfortable, instead of just specifically trying to defend myself and then leave. Instead, try and come up with, really do all in my power to come up with something constructive, a solution, and feel comfortable while speaking to them, instead of feeling as if, or believing I have to defend myself. I have to, not like a altercation sort of thing, like a physical altercation. No, as in like having to defend my corner. Like I said, it's up to me to speak to them how I spoke to my sister today. When it comes to serious conversations, it's up to me to really do all in my power to come up with something constructive with them, and always let it be known that those are my intentions, to come up with something constructive with them. Like, absolutely must. And another thing I'd say is to try, not to try, but to actually take the time to not feel empathy, not necessarily feel empathy, but feel sympathy for my parents, and really take the time to digest all the things that they've told me they've gone through. I think I feel comfortable with leaving it here. That's going to be the end of the video. Maybe you enjoyed it, maybe you learned something valuable. Maybe you could implement what I've learned into your situation with your home life. One thing I'd say is, when it comes to being able to do this, make the art of transforming your life a daily habit. Number 1, have an outlet to release that. Number 2, number 3, work through any things you have on your mind, and that will set the foundations for you to be able to talk to your parents and articulate yourself exactly how you're thinking of it, like how I've been able to do today, even better than I've ever been able to do before. Which leads me on to number 4. Even though you may work on things yourself and give yourself time to be in your own company, and to just, for example, like Hamza would say, stare at the wall and think. And I'd also say write things down on paper. Also give your time, also go out there, go out of your way to want to have conversations with other people, like family and friends, when it comes to certain things. Because by doing that, you're going to be able to have a perspective that you'll never be able to have otherwise at that point in time, all the way until later on in your life. The otherwise scenario would be, you'd have to be very later on in your life, in which you could think from an outside perspective, because your life situation would have changed. Alright, I think those are the pieces of advice that I'd end the video with. Alright, so I'm going to leave it here. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something valuable. If you're having situations in which you're having many arguments with your parents, and have been doing so for quite a while, then you can take what I've just said at the very end, and everything I've said in between and before that, into account. I'd also end it off here, that even if you think it's all of your parents' fault, your parents haven't done this, they haven't done that, think, what are you not doing for yourself? That's something that I back then never asked. What am I doing for myself to help myself improve? And furthermore, what do I know is hindering me? I would think, the YouTube addiction thing, but I gotta get a move on. Yeah, it's the YouTube addiction thing. Yeah, but I need to take constructive long-term action to be able to make sure that my efforts are my efforts are actually going to stick. What are you doing? If you're in a predicament similar to me, and it sounds similar to your situation, ask yourself, what are you doing to improve your life? And what are you not doing to improve your life? What is out there that you want to work on, but you're not wanting to work, that you're not working on. For example, just yo-yoing back and forth with the YouTube addiction, trying to do the dopamine detox every now and then, but it being too extreme for me to actually stick to long term. It being the dopamine fast that I tried back in April 2020 times when I didn't go on YouTube for 4 days. That was way too extreme compared to watching it every single day for many hours on end. You got to think about these things. Oh, sorry, no, you don't have to. Do you have to? No, you don't have to. But maybe just take the time to actually think about these things that I've said in these videos, especially if you really think that you have an unhealthy relationship with your parents, then you may be able to take into account with what I've just said and apply that to your life. Maybe, and if you follow my advice, you might just realize that it's two-sided, and that it's not completely the way how your life's turned up is not completely your parents' fault. It's not. You're also to do with it. You are, at least at a certain point, completely responsible for how your life turns out. It's up to you that if you don't want to go to a place, you stand your ground for X, Y, and Z reason, regardless of if you want to tell your parents. For example, me telling my parents that I wanted to do a gap year instead of going to uni. It was up to me to say, no, this is how I want to go about things. See, it is my life, and it was my responsibility to say that, to stay firm and stick with my decision. Did I do that? No, but if I did, I wouldn't be in the position I am today, and things wouldn't be going this way. But this is exactly how I want things to go, where I completely transform my life. And I've actually let my dad know what's been on my mind for a while. He thinks that the only thing really, when it comes to a quote-unquote job, career, the only thing he's really concerned about is me earning money. Regardless of what he says, I understand that, because he says, go and get school qualifications or something, go and quote-unquote learn something. He's referring to school. And it seems like that's the only way he knows. So that's, in his opinion, probably the best advice that he could give me. But I've said to him that I'm working on something. I'm working on something, and I'm not going to explain what it is, because I'm not going to allow myself to be told I can't. I told him I'm not going to, because I don't want to be told I can't do this. So I said, yeah, I am working towards something. I'm not lost and confused. And he said he thinks the same thing. He thinks the same thing about me. I think maybe I need to have another serious conversation with my mum especially, and my dad, seeing as they're probably going to be in the bedroom right now, about what's gone on today, especially what led to the second conversation, me wanting to defend my corner. It seems like I need to have I may need to have another serious conversation with them, just to let them know that, even just to say it, even to just say that one sentence, to let them know, especially my mum, that if I hear you talking about me behind my back, no, I heard you talking about me behind my back, so I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to let that be known. And that I will, as I said earlier on in the video, back my corner. There's a lot of shit that I've worked through in my life, such as the Joseph thing. There's a lot of things that I've worked through in my life. There's a lot of things that I am on the way to working through in my life, and that I need to carry on. I need to carry on doing this every single day in order to live a life I consider ideal, or more than ideal. But I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed and learned something valuable. See you in the next one. Peace. one thing I'd like to add is, if I didn't carry on improving, I just thought of dating, how that could end up. I think similar to points of what Hamza said, is that if I don't carry on changing, I'd end up like them. I don't want to. When I say end up like them, I mean end up acting like them, and genuinely be in a life situation that I know I could be doing better than. And I may treat my wife, if I were to have one, the same way, and I treat my kids the same way, which I didn't want from a child's perspective. I'm not going to, if I ever have children, do that for my children. That's what I am saying from this point of view. But I must understand that I have to carry on working on myself every single day for me to not only say that, but for me to believe in what I say, but more importantly, for my actions to reaffirm my beliefs. Yeah, that's what I've been saying with other things in my life. When it comes to like the plank journey, for example, I must say what I want to do, say I'm on the way to doing it, believe in what I say, and make my actions reaffirm my beliefs. That's what I'd have to do for the children, my children, if I were to have them in the future. But for now, for a very long time at least, I want to be a man that's free, child free, because that's a major responsibility to hold, which I don't feel ready for, because I've barely gone out and explored life my damn self. So I'm absolutely not going to have children for a very, very, very long time, decades, probably at least 2. Maybe at least 2, if not more. I may have to do a third one. I may have to do 5. No, not 5 decades, sorry. 3. I may have to do 3 decades before I'd actually have children and be in a position where I think, you know what, I may be able to have 1 or 2 kids. And I think with the time that I have set aside left in my life, I'd not only be able to be there for them, but I'd also be able to provide the best childhood and the healthiest childhood that I could, the healthiest childhood, adolescence and adult life that I could, through teaching them to go fighting, go fight clubs, judo, karate, boxing, taekwondo, what else? Take them to the gym. Don't fuck up like how my parents fucked up and said, no, you can't go gym. Don't do that to your children. Do not do that to your children. Reason being, if you do that to your children from an early age, then it's like, if they don't know that they can do bodyweight exercises, then it's almost like you're telling them you can't actually take care of your health in ways that you'd want. But of course you can do exercises on the floor in the house. Yeah, of course you can, but it's just probably some food for thought, like how my sister said one time in the conversation we had today. Yeah, perhaps the people that you're around actually also influence how you speak. Imagine that. But I genuinely think this is the time I'm going to end it here. I don't have anything else to say. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something valuable. And if you're believing that you're experiencing a similar predicament to what I've experienced, then you can listen to my advice and take it where you deem appropriate. Take it in ways you deem appropriate. But if there's any one piece of advice I'd give and that I'd end this video on, it would be to make the art of transforming your life a daily habit and give yourself that mental release. Give yourself that mental release to be able to work through things on your mind, and you'll eventually be able to articulate yourself to in this case, your parents, and in my case, my parents, much better than you ever would have been able to, with not only speaking about and working through things by yourself, but also with other people, which in my opinion is important, because speaking with other people means that you have an outward perspective on your situation, which you wouldn't have otherwise had. Okay, yeah, I'm gone. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something valuable that you take my advice if you deem it appropriate. I'll see you later. No problem, miss. Alright, yeah, bye. Another quick thing that I've just thought of would be, if you're ever feeling fear whilst walking on the street thinking that you could die, or something of the like, something similar, I'd say to, in fact, follow one of Therapy in a Nutshell's videos about understanding, am I safe right now? Am I safe right now? And take a few deep breaths to remember yourself. Instead of having shallow breaths, take control of your breathing. That's what I just did, and then because I very slightly felt that same response, flight, fight, freeze response, even though it was just two people, one holding a pram. I mean, come on, what is that person? What sort of harm would that person want to do onto me? They've got a kid. Yeah, if you ever feel fear on the street whilst you're walking on the street, I'd say, first of all, learn how to protect yourself in boxing. Go self-defense classes, learn how to disarm, or even if you want to go to a firing range, if you want to learn how to use these weapons instead of just disarming them. At the end of the day, that's up to you. But I'd say take a deep breath. Yeah, I'm absolutely not advising you to go out and take it to people and try and kill them with what you've learned in self-defense classes, not at all. As a part of self-defense, no. Take a deep breath and remember, ask yourself, am I safe right now? Right now? Yes? And yeah, cool. But anyway, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed, learned something valuable, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Take care of yourselves, don't suppress yourselves. Allow yourselves to talk. I don't know how many times I've ended the video, but I'm going to keep all of them in. Bye. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to end this video, but yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to let my parents know why I actually entered the room to go and entered the kitchen where they were having this conversation with a family friend. It was to let them know that I had to defend my, I felt the need to defend my corner. And that was the wording I used, at least almost verbatim. And my dad said something that I'm actually going to take on board from now on, and it's that I only heard a snippet of the conversation, just like he said. He said that and I agreed. I did. That's just a fact. And he said, because that's the case, them saying the fact that I said I'm not finished with you yet, and them talking behind my back, maybe they had a different narrative just to try and tarnish my name and speak about me behind my back to a family friend. So I'll take that on board. If I don't know the whole story, actually find out why they say this and give enough decency to actually say I want to speak about it and get a better understanding of what's going on. Get a better understanding of their perspective, or at least the narrative they will paint, and then go from there. But anyway, yeah. Alright, I genuinely think this is the time I'm going to end the video. I'm not going to say the same outro all over again. You've heard me say it so many times. Bye. Okay. So this is the second day, the day after these events happened. I've just woken up. Oh no, in reality I just got up a few minutes before 7. I've gotten up out of bed. I'm sitting on bed, But I've got out of bed, brushed my teeth, got my phone to upload the video, and I actually had a dream. I actually had very long dreams about what happened yesterday. I didn't write down what my dream was about, but the only thing I really can even remember blurrily is that it was like I remember having a therapy session with my dad. I'm not sure if that was exactly correct. That may be wrong, but yeah, we were certainly speaking to each other for sure. And I was just thinking, how in the hell am I meant to have a very pleasant and healthy relationship with my parents / family if I constantly feel defensive and if I constantly think that they have ulterior motives? If, for example, I think I hear them just say my name while speaking to each other and or speaking to family, friends, that they, or how I said it in the in earlier on in the video, tarnishing my name, like what happened yesterday, which led to that second serious conversation happening. How the hell am I supposed to have a healthy relationship with my parents if I constantly think that they have ulterior motives against me, if they are constantly tarnishing my name whenever they say it, when they're not speaking to me? I just thought that was so dumb. I actually face palmed when thinking about that a few minutes ago. But I just wanted to let you know yeah. At this point in time, I'm now thinking of the times my mum has said, "Why do you open your eyes so much when you speak during conversations? I'm your mum." Because sometimes it seems like that's what I've done automatically to recall information, as I'm just remembering things. I've even done it many times on these videos. Maybe that's just a very small part as to why I've allowed myself to get to this point, because I could be feeling, or at least in the past I could be feeling as if I'm being judged. I could be living believing that I'm being judged and my every move is being judged, and that whatever I do, my parents could try and take away from me. With the no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. What else? When I say that, I mean, I'm referring to back when they were saying I couldn't get a job with school, I'm also referring to times when my mum said I can't use seasonings in the kitchen. To me, in my mind, that's like me not being able to cook what I want. But I'm still not going to use the mixed spice with the other seasonings I'd use, like curry powder and paprika, because she's told me that, in her words, whatever seasonings I'm using, they're clashing. So I got rid of using mixed spice. In my head, I've just been thinking during that period of silence. Maybe that's another part of why I've got to this point, and that the serious conversations were had. Because I'm believing that my every move could be judged. My every move is being judged by my parents, and potentially they could try to tell me, regardless of what it is, that I can't do it. Which would explain why I think they have ulterior motives all the time. Do I consciously think they have ulterior motives all the time? No. But could it be a mindset that I've had for a very long time without realizing it? Yeah. Because even in this video, I've said, when my dad was just about, I thought he was praying, but he said he was just about to. I thought he was, and I thought I heard him in the room as I was making the very first clip of this video, and I thought he was trying to listen into what I was saying, potentially so that he could go and talk to mum about it, and then try and have a conversation with me about what's going on and why I'm actually talking things through with myself. I can no longer live. I can no longer live with the sort of music that I listened to in the past. I can no longer live thinking that my parents have ulterior motives without it being justified. Anyone can have ulterior motives regardless of who they are to you, whether you have whether you're related to them genetically or whether you're not. Anyone can have ulterior motives, but I can no longer live thinking that they have ulterior motives and it's unjustified. Me thinking my dad has ulterior motives to try and listen into me just because he's in another room, thinking that he could be listening into me because he's very close to the room I was in. But they could have simply just been only because he was about to pray, and that's it. Not necessarily because he's tried to listen in whilst he prays. Could that be a reality? Yeah, that could have been a reality, but that's insufficient evidence to think that he has ulterior motives. He was just about to pray. I thought he was praying, but he was just about to pray. Yeah, I can't live with thinking that they have ulterior motives unless it's justified. How would that be justified? I don't know. I don't know if I clarified in the last video, but when I was going for the walk, I was speaking about what happened in the first conversation when my mum called me a joker, and then I said I'm not finished with you yet. I did apologise for saying it. I did apologise for saying that. I apologise for saying that last night. I didn't think I would, but I did. I didn't think I would because I thought, no, that behaviour was provoked by calling me a joker. It's up to me to not only I'd say I felt calm, but it's up to me to not react to those things. It's up to me to take such comments less personally. I'm well aware that my parents act in an emotional way. I know that that's not how I ought to go about things and to stoop to that level. Regardless of if other people would think that sounds bad because that's my parents I'm talking about, doesn't matter. Yeah, I did apologise for saying I'm not finished with you yet to my mum. And I'd say not to take things so personally. And it's up to me to learn a lot more about taking things less personally and being complete control of my emotions all the time. I'm looking at the doll, and it just reminds me that I am in complete control of my mind and my body. That therefore means I'm in control of how I think and how I respond. Now I control my emotions. It means everything. I think I'm done. There's nothing more that needs to be said. Even though I've said, yeah, this is going to be it by this genuinely is. So I'm going to export the video now. I don't have anything else to say. If I do, I'll write it down in the description. But yeah, this has been quite the long one. At this point, I think it's going to be like 1.5 hours. But these things do take time. It's a 1.5, it's either 1.5 or less than 1.5 hour video. And that's just the video itself, not all of the conversations that's been had and how long they were as well. But it seems like yeah, I have more ideas of what I can do to help myself out. Not listen to the music that I was listening to in the past. No grime music, no drill music, not even the instrumentals. None of them, not even the instrumentals. Because those instrumentals coincide they go together with those homicidal thoughts that I've listened to in the past. The people talking about, I'm going to shoot you and shank you. I have to completely stop listening to that, explain to myself why, what I've just said now, and give a replacement. Even though I listen to the lyrics a lot less, I would listen to the lyrics a lot less in the past. I think it's only right that they completely go. Maybe not from the internet, maybe not from my feed, even though that would be ideal. But yeah, I stopped listening to them completely. And I replace it with another activity, or even like house music, for example. I know I like house music. I know I like some calm neo soul, some old drum and bass. It's not like I don't have any other sorts of music to listen to. Why not listen to some Brazilian music? Why not listen to some Congolese music? My mum would listen to that. Why not listen to some Bollywood music? They're all there. Why not? It would be different. It would, yeah. Some Spanish music. I don't actually know what you call it. But mate, you could learn from that sort of stuff. Some salsa music, eh? I actually am interested in salsa. In my head, the main reason why I just thought of why I'd be interested in salsa is, in my head, quote unquote, another skill set to get pussy. I mean, I'm not wrong. Cooking would be another one. I know how to cook for myself, and I don't do that. I wouldn't do that for females. But in my head, I was just on impulse. I thought, oh, salsa is another skill set to get pussy. But why would I want to do that? Because we all in us have a hardwired need to want to have children. That's something I must remember. I think I'm gonna have to go and watch this video over and over and over again. Watch certain clips over and over and over again. More importantly, the end, where I give myself a whole load of tips, and you guys as well, if you're thinking that you're in a similar predicament to me. Yeah, I think I may have to listen to the end of this the ending stages of this video, maybe like the last half an hour, over and over and over and over again. Just keep on banging on in my head that this is what I want to do. Work on the things I really want to work on. And if there are any things that I want to work on but I'm not taking action on, need to do that. That is a must. It must be done. Because that, as a side effect, could be me making the relationship I have with my family decline. That's how important this is. And because I've said I want in my head for the conversations that I have with all of my family members to be voluntary instead of seem like they're compulsory, I think I do want to have a healthy relationship with my family. When I leave the house and when I move out, I'm not going to speak to them all the time. Can I send them a text message like my sister advised me to? Yeah, of course. Can I have a chat with them every now and then? Yeah, of course. Would I want to have a chat with them? If you asked me this back in uni times, from September to December 2020, back when I was in accommodation, I'd say I don't want to speak to them at all. Not even a phone call and not even a text. Because I just wanted peace. I just wanted peace so much, and me allowing myself to get peace compared to the much more toxic environment that I was in, and that I couldn't control at that point in time because I was at such a young age. There's nothing I couldn't have removed myself from that environment. Yeah, that peace that I was wanted to get didn't involve them, and hence I wouldn't want to at all. But if I were to move out now, it would be every now and then. There's not only nothing stopping me from sending a text, but there's nothing stopping me from calling either. I think back then, maybe I didn't want to call because I didn't want to be told, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that without me asking. Just like how they've given unsolicited advice many times in the past. Only call when I need them. That's the sort of way of thinking that I had back then. Makes me think of the time when I asked, how can you clean the floor if you made a stain, which I called for, because then I was then coming for help, and therefore I was wanting advice. And my mum gave me the advice of using soap and putting soap on a cloth, putting some water on the cloth, and then dabbing the stain that's on the floor. I'd want to end it on this note. Keep on coming back to this video, at least for me, at least the last half an hour when I keep on saying I'm about to end the clip. No, I'm going to end the video. Keep on going back to it to keep on remembering how I want to improve not only my life in general, but the relationship that I have with all of my family members. On that note, yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video. Hope you learned and enjoyed something. I hope you enjoyed and learned something valuable. I'll see you in the next one. In today's log, day 106. All of the clips before this was yesterday, day 105. The first set of clips before the walk was around 4 to 5 p.m. The second set when I was walking outside at night was around 7:30 to 7:30. And then now it's just before, that's in the evening when I was walking. And then now it's around 7 o'clock in the morning. And I've just, it's probably like 7:30 or so, seeing as this clip I'm making today is 24 minutes and 21 seconds. Now it's going on still, of course. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it on this note. Keep on coming back to it. Maybe not every day, but every now and then, maybe every once a week or once every few days. Keep on coming back to the last half an hour or so to keep on getting it in my head. Keep on hearing it over and over again in my head. Making sure that it keeps on. I keep on digesting that message of how I want to improve and therefore act on it. But yeah, catch you in today's log in day 106. I'm not actually going to do the forward roll today. I'll put that in the notice. I'm not going to do the forward roll today because yesterday I was feeling very physically uncomfortable when going to sleep, when I was wanting to go to sleep, because my lower back felt sore after doing all of those forward rolls. And I think it was because when I would be, after I've tipped over and when I'd land on my back, the times I'd land on my back and I actually hit the floor, and potentially also the times even when I didn't and I landed on this cover. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna see you in today's log, and I'm gonna make that notice that I'm not going to do the I'm not going to do the forward roll today. I'm gonna cool off from that, take a break, at least a 1 day break from that, and instead learn to do some crow pose, or learn to do the crow pose, because my forward roll is not going to get much better. Wow, I've come far, like really far as a person since doing that. Oh, you see, when I was just thinking, I opened my eyes. That was what Mum was talking about. So I don't think, is that an issue? Do I think that's an issue? For me personally, do I think that's an issue? No, it's what I've been doing to recall information. Or, I don't think it's not okay to do that every now and then. If it were every sentence, or every couple of sentences, then that would be a problem maybe. But if it's rare, that's how you express yourself. That's how you can express yourself. If it's rare and it makes sense, maybe not explaining myself all the time, but if it makes sense to, why not? It's a part of expressing yourself. In non-verbal communication, that is a way of how you can express yourself. So I don't see a problem with me doing that on the odd occasion. But if I'd be doing that every day, I'd look fucking mental, and I do have an issue with that. That'd be a lot of eye work too, doing that all the time. Yeah, but anyway, see you in the day 106 log. Bye. I could certainly learn from this, and I hope other people can too. I could have done it then, when I was just thinking, but yeah. If other people in the future go into the comment section saying that they've been able to learn from this, and it's actually changed them as a person, it wouldn't have. It would be them allowing themselves to change as a person with this information. See, I almost did it again. Maybe I do. Maybe I have been doing it more often than I think. But anyway, yeah. That'd be amazing if other people in the comment section can truthfully say that they've gone and changed as a person because of my words, even though it would be them allowing themselves to change. That would mean that my advice is not only helpful to me, but it's helpful to other people, which means that my message is valuable, and therefore I could make more money from this. Is more money the first thing I'm thinking about, or the most important thing I'm thinking about? No, actually, no, it's not. It's, even though I said it first, it's not the main thing. The main thing would be the fulfillment that I'd get, and that feeling, knowing that someone out there potentially could be saying that what I've said and how I've worked through things has given them a means to actually be able to work through their own things. That'd be nice. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you later in the day 106 log. Bye.